Take it. This will keep your family safe.
Thank you. We won't forget your kindness.
Perhaps humans are not our enemies after all.
What if everything you know about power is wrong? What if the families running governments aren't actually in charge? What if there's a hidden dynasty controlling world events from the shadows, and nobody talks about them because they can't? Today, we're exposing the truth. In the year 2847, humanity discovered something that changed everything. A forgotten servant stumbled upon a secret so massive it could topple civilizations. He wasn't supposed to find it. He wasn't supposed to survive what he learned. But he did. And what he discovered proves that an alien royal family has been orchestrating human history for centuries. This isn't conspiracy theory. This is the untold story of how one man protected royal heirs and uncovered an empire nobody's allowed to mention. You're about to learn 3 shocking truths. First, how power actually flows through hidden dimensions. Second, why governments erase certain historical records. And third, the identity of the family controlling it all. But the real shock, they've been protecting us the whole time. Let me show you exactly how this happened. His name was Marcus, but nobody remembered him. He worked in the palace for 15 years, and in 15 years, he became invisible. That's the thing about servants in royal households. You're there every day, seeing everything, hearing everything, but to them, you're just part of the furniture, part of the walls. Marcus learned to use that invisibility. The palace wasn't ordinary. Sure, it looked normal on the surface. Golden doors, marble floors, guards at every entrance. But Marcus noticed things other people didn't. He noticed the way certain rooms only opened at midnight. He noticed the strange symbols carved into the basement walls. He noticed the guards who weren't actually human. Not quite human anyway. Their eyes glowed faintly in the dark. Their skin was too smooth, too perfect. They moved too fast. For years, Marcus kept quiet and did his job. He cleaned the halls. He served meals. He pretended not to notice the impossible things happening around him. But everything changed the day the explosion happened. It started like any other morning. Marcus was bringing breakfast to the royal children's quarters when the ground shook. Not like an earthquake. Something else. The vibration came from everywhere and nowhere at once. Alarms screamed through the palace. Guards ran in all directions. Marcus heard shouting, the sound of things breaking, and then silence. Terrible silence. He found the queen's chambers in chaos. The door had been blown open. Books were scattered everywhere. Technology he didn't recognize was smoking and sparking. And there, hiding in the corner, were the children. 2 young alien beings. The girl had green skin that shimmered like water. The boy was smaller, younger, with silver eyes that reflected light like mirrors. They were terrified. The queen was gone. The guards were gone. It was just Marcus and 2 children nobody in the outside world was supposed to know existed. Marcus made a choice in that moment. He didn't run. He didn't call for help. He knelt down to the children and whispered, "It's going to be okay. I'm going to protect you." He didn't know why he said it. He didn't know what he was protecting them from. He just knew it was the only right thing to do. He hid them in the lower chambers, the old servant tunnels, places he'd discovered during his years of invisible work. He brought them food and water. He told them stories to keep them calm. And while he kept them safe, he started exploring the damaged royal chambers. That's when he found it. The room behind the bookshelf. The room that shouldn't exist. Inside were records. Thousands of them. Written on materials that weren't paper. In languages Marcus didn't understand, but images he could comprehend. Star charts. Family trees spanning thousands of years. Photographs. Videos. all of it pointing to one impossible truth. The royal family wasn't from Earth. They had never been from Earth. The records showed aliens arriving on Earth thousands of years ago. Not invading. Arriving. They built civilizations in hidden places. Underground cities. Beneath the oceans. In dimensions humans couldn't perceive. And for millennia, they had quietly guided human development. They created the mythology. They inspired the religions. They started the wars. All of it was orchestrated. But more than that, the records showed why. It wasn't about conquest. It was about survival. The alien dynasty was dying. Their bloodline was weakening. They had come to Earth to find something. Something in human DNA. Something that could save their species. Marcus read all night. His hands shook as he turned each page. His mind raced trying to understand. The children he was protecting weren't just royal heirs. They were the last of their kind. The last hope for an entire civilization hidden from human eyes. The queen had hidden them because someone was hunting them. Someone wanted to end the dynasty. Someone wanted to reclaim Earth from the hidden rulers. Marcus suddenly understood his purpose. He was here to protect them. Everything in his life, every invisible moment, every forgotten day, had led to this. He was the one person who had earned their trust because he had never wanted anything from them. He was just a servant. But that was about to change everything. The records showed that human history wasn't what we'd been taught. Every major turning point had alien involvement. The rise and fall of empires. The discovery of electricity. The invention of the internet. All guided. All planned. The dynasty didn't control humans through force. They guided them through influence. They whispered ideas into the minds of great leaders. They inspired inventors and artists. They steered civilization toward advancement. But there was a cost to this arrangement. The alien bloodline required something from Earth. Human emotion. Human creativity. Human resilience. These qualities existed nowhere else in the universe. The royal family had evolved so far beyond emotion that they were becoming mechanical. Cold. Sterile. Humanity was their medicine. Contact with human development was keeping them alive. This is why they had hidden themselves. This is why governments were forced to erase the truth. Because if humanity discovered that we were being guided by an invisible hand, we would rebel. We would lose the very qualities that kept the dynasty alive. Marcus found documents about the hunt. A faction within the hidden government wanted to destroy the royal family. They believed humanity should evolve on its own. They believed the alien influence was poison. They were powerful. They had resources. And they were close to finding the children. Marcus knew he couldn't protect them alone. He needed help. But who could he trust? Who could he tell? Any government official might be compromised. Any military commander might be working for the faction hunting the royal heirs. Marcus was completely alone, except for two children who depended on him. He made a decision. He would take them to the one place nobody would think to look. The place where the hidden history was least likely to be found. He would take them out of the palace, out of the protected zones, into the world. He created a false identity. He forged documents using techniques he'd learned while cleaning the royal offices. He packed supplies, and one night, he walked out of the palace carrying two alien children disguised as his own offspring. Nobody stopped him. Nobody was looking for them to leave. They were looking for them to stay. That invisibility that had haunted Marcus his entire life became his greatest weapon. Getting out of the city was harder. There were checkpoints, scanners, advanced technology he didn't understand. But Marcus had learned the palace routines. He knew when the guards changed. He knew the blind spots in the surveillance systems. He knew how to move like a ghost. The children barely made a sound. The green-skinned girl held his hand tightly, and he could feel her fear through her trembling fingers. The silver-eyed boy stayed close to his other side. They moved through the shadows like smoke. When they finally broke through the city limits, Marcus felt something he'd never felt before. Freedom, but it was temporary. He knew they would be hunted now. He knew the faction would send everything they had to recapture the heirs. What Marcus didn't expect was who would find him first. They appeared on the road ahead in the darkness. 3 figures, humanoid, but clearly not human. Their bodies shimmered in the moonlight like oil on water. Their eyes burned with ancient intelligence. Marcus froze. He pulled the children behind him. This was it. This was the end. They had been found. But the figures didn't attack. The tallest one stepped forward and spoke. Her voice was like music and mathematics mixed together. "You are Marcus," she said. It wasn't a question. "You protected them. You risked everything. This is why we chose you." Marcus's mind spun. Chose him? For what? The dynasty cannot survive without humans who understand sacrifice, the figure continued. Humans who act without expecting reward. Humans who love without condition. You have shown these qualities. This is why you are the only one we can trust with the truth. The figures stepped aside, revealing a ship. Not a spaceship like humans imagined. Something stranger. Something that existed between dimensions. A craft that could carry them to places Earth technology couldn't reach. "Will you take them?" the figure asked. "Will you protect them, even knowing what you now know? Will you be the bridge between our 2 worlds?" Marcus looked at the children. Their eyes were full of hope and fear. They were watching him, waiting for his decision. He nodded slowly. "Then welcome," the figure said, "to the hidden empire that saves worlds." Marcus stepped into the ship with the children, and everything changed. The walls lit up with impossible colors. Information flowed around him like water. He could see everything. Every government building on Earth. Every hidden facility. Every secret that humanity had protected for centuries. The figures introduced themselves as the protectors. They were part of the royal dynasty, but they had a different job. While the main family guided civilization, the protectors ensured survival. They existed in secret dimensions, watching, waiting, ready to intervene if human development went too far in the wrong direction. "Why are you showing me this?" Marcus asked. "Because," the tallest figure said, "the faction hunting the heirs is not trying to destroy them. They are trying to use them. They want to weaponize the connection between our 2 species. They want to harness human emotion as a power source. If they succeed, it will destroy both our world and yours." Marcus understood. This wasn't just about protecting 2 children. This was about saving both civilizations from those who would exploit them. The journey through the hidden dimensions was something Marcus could never fully explain. Time moved differently there. Minutes felt like hours. The landscape shifted between solid and transparent. He saw places that shouldn't exist. Cities of crystal, gardens of light, libraries containing the entire history of both species merged together. The children adapted faster than he did. Their alien biology responded to the hidden dimensions naturally. Within days, they were running and playing in places that made Marcus's eyes hurt to look at. They grew stronger, healthier, more confident, but they never let Marcus out of their sight. He was their anchor, their proof that someone loved them for who they were, not what they could do or what power they possessed. Then the hunters found them. The faction sent forces into the hidden dimensions, soldiers with technology beyond imagination, weapons that unmade reality itself. The battle lasted what Marcus perceived as hours, though the protectors later told him it had been seconds in Earth time. Marcus huddled with the children in a deep shelter while the protectors fought. He held them close, and whispered promises he wasn't sure he could keep. The green-skinned girl asked him, "Are we going to die?" And Marcus said the only honest thing he could think of. "I don't know, but I'm going to be here with you no matter what happens." That's when something unexpected occurred. The main royal family arrived. The queen materialized in the shelter, and when she did, Marcus finally understood why she had been missing. She hadn't been captured. She had been gathering power. She appeared with hundreds of warriors, royal guards whose very presence seemed to warp the dimension around them. The hunters never stood a chance. The faction was defeated in moments, but the queen didn't destroy them. She showed them mercy. She showed them the records. She showed them why the hidden guidance of civilization was necessary. She showed them that destroying the royal heirs would not liberate humanity. It would doom them. Some of the hunters accepted this. Some turned to the protector's side. Some simply accepted exile in deep space. The war ended not with destruction, but with understanding. The queen turned to Marcus and knelt before him. This shocked everyone. A being of such power, bowing to a simple servant. "You chose the path of love over the path of fear," she said. "In all our civilization's history, we rarely see this in those who are not born royal. You have proven that humanity's greatest strength is not intelligence or innovation. It is the capacity to love beyond reason, to protect beyond obligation, to sacrifice without expectation of reward." She stood and placed her hand on his head. "For this, you will be given a gift. You will be allowed to live between worlds, to exist in both dimensions, to be ambassador between our species. You will teach others what you have taught my children through your example." Marcus fell to his knees, overwhelmed. He had started as an invisible servant. He was becoming something the universe had never seen before. Marcus learned to walk between dimensions. It wasn't like traveling. It was more like existing in two places at once. One moment, he was on Earth, living as a normal human. The next, he was in the hidden empire, training to understand the deeper connections between species. The royal children thrived under his care. The girl, whose name in the hidden dimension was Solari, became a bridge herself. She spent time in both worlds, learning human culture alongside alien science. The boy, called Enith, developed a fascination with human art and music. They were no longer separated from their people. They were connected to both civilizations. Word spread through the hidden empire about the servant who had protected the heirs, about the human who had earned the respect of the royal dynasty through love rather than power. Other humans began to appear. Not many, only those who had proven themselves worthy. Scientists who had discovered truths about the universe and been mysteriously guided toward the right conclusions. Artists whose creativity seemed to channel something beyond themselves. Teachers whose compassion exceeded all measure. They were all being gathered for the same purpose: to understand the hidden partnership between humanity and the royal family, to become ambassadors like Marcus. But not everyone on Earth was happy about this. Governments began noticing the disappearances, great minds vanishing, influential people suddenly becoming unavailable. They investigated, but there was nothing to find. No bodies, no evidence, just people who seemed to simply step out of one reality into another. The protectors warned Marcus that the secret couldn't last forever. Humanity was advancing too quickly. Technology was improving. Soon, ordinary people would be able to detect the hidden dimensions. Soon, the secret would be revealed whether the royal family wanted it or not. This is when the real decision had to be made. The dynasty gathered in council, humans and aliens sitting together for the first time in open discussion. Marcus was invited to speak, a servant addressing royalty, an impossible thing made real. "The secret has always been temporary," Marcus said. "You can't hide forever, and maybe you shouldn't. Maybe humanity is ready to know the truth. The room erupted in argument. Some aliens were terrified that revelation would cause humanity to rebel. Others believed it was inevitable anyway. Some humans argued that their species deserved to know. Others worried about the chaos it would cause. The queen raised her hand, and silence fell. "Marcus speaks truth," she said. "But revelation without preparation will cause disaster. We must do this carefully. Gradually, we must prepare both species for the moment when the hidden empire is hidden no more." She looked directly at Marcus. "You will lead this process. You will choose how, when, and why humanity learns the truth. You will be the architect of our emergence into the light." Marcus felt the weight of that responsibility settle on his shoulders. He had been given an impossible task: to guide not just two children, but two entire civilizations toward a future they had never imagined. He thought about all those years as an invisible servant. All those years of being overlooked and forgotten. Those years had prepared him for this moment. Because true power, he had learned, wasn't about being seen. It was about seeing others. It wasn't about giving orders. It was about understanding what others needed. "I accept," he said, "but I have one condition." The queen smiled slightly. "Name it." "We do this in a way that honors both the royal dynasty and human free will. We don't manipulate anymore. We inform. We let people choose their own path." The queen nodded slowly. "Wisdom from unexpected places. Perhaps this is why the universe chose you for this moment." As Marcus left the council chamber, with Solari on one side and Enith on the other, he realized something profound. He wasn't a servant anymore, but he wasn't a leader either. He was something new. A bridge. A translator. A being who could see the beauty in both worlds and help them understand each other. 20 years passed. To Earth, it was nothing. To the hidden empire, it was an eternity of preparation. Marcus worked tirelessly with both species, creating systems that would allow humanity to understand the truth without causing societal collapse. He established hidden academies where select humans learned about alien science and culture. He worked with governments to plant subtle clues about the hidden empire in media and entertainment, slowly preparing the unconscious mind of civilization. He traveled between dimensions thousands of times, becoming more alien and more human with each journey. Solari grew into a young woman who could command respect from both species. Her unique perspective, having been raised between worlds, made her invaluable. Enith discovered talents in communication and diplomacy that surprised everyone. They became proof that unity between species wasn't just possible. It was natural. But resistance grew as well. There were those on Earth who feared change. Scientists who realized their greatest breakthroughs had been guided. Religious leaders who questioned their faith when confronted with evidence of alien influence. Political leaders who felt their power threatened by the existence of a civilization that had been shaping history. And in the hidden empire, there were those who believed Marcus had been compromised by his human nature. They argued that revealing the truth would destroy the careful balance that had kept both species thriving. The turning point came unexpectedly. A brilliant young physicist on Earth was about to release evidence of the hidden dimensions. She had discovered the mathematics proving their existence. Within days, the secret would be public, not through careful revelation, but through scientific breakthrough. The royal family faced a choice: suppress the information, which would mean destroying a brilliant scientist, or accelerate their emergence and control the narrative of revelation themselves. Marcus stood before the council again. "Let her publish," he said, "but let her do it with context. Let her work with both human scientists and our best minds. Let it be a collaboration that shows both species working together for the truth." The Queen considered this. And if panic spreads, if people reject the truth, Then we face it together, Marcus said. And we learn from it. Humanity has faced impossible truths before. They survived the fall of their religions. They survived the discovery that they weren't the center of the universe. They will survive this too. Maybe they'll be stronger for it. The physicist's paper was released alongside a statement from the hidden empire. It was gentle. It was explanatory. It offered evidence rather than demanding belief. It came not as conquest, but as invitation. The reaction was seismic. Governments convened emergency sessions. News networks broadcast the story continuously. Scientists around the world demanded verification. And slowly, gradually, humanity began to accept the truth. It wasn't smooth. There were protests. There was fear. Some people rejected the evidence outright. But something unexpected happened. Many people felt relieved. They had always suspected something was missing from the official story of history. Now they had answers. Solari and Enith appeared on every news channel, speaking about their experience being raised between two worlds. They talked about what they had learned from both species. They talked about how humanity's capacity for love and creativity had saved their people from extinction. They talked about hope. Years later, as full integration began between Earth and the hidden empire, Marcus stood on a platform looking at the faces of millions. Humans and aliens together. Not as rulers and subjects, but as partners, as equals. Solari stood beside him, her green skin shimmering in the earth sunlight. Enith stood on the other side, his silver eyes reflecting hope and wonder. A child in the crowd raised her hand and asked, "What are you?" Marcus smiled. "I'm the same thing you are," he said. "I'm a being who loves, who learns, and who believes that together, we can be more than we ever were apart." The child nodded, satisfied. To her, this was normal. Humans and aliens living together. It was just the way the world was. And that, Marcus realized, was the victory, not the revelation of truth, but the moment when truth became ordinary. He had been a forgotten servant. He had become the architect of unity between worlds. And the greatest part of his journey was just beginning. Here's what most people don't realize about power. It's not held by the loud. It's held by those willing to love when they could destroy. The hidden royal family didn't control Earth through force. They guided it through compassion. They saved civilization they didn't have to care about, because they understood something fundamental. We are all connected. What helps one species helps both. Marcus's real gift wasn't protecting the heirs. It was showing both species that the future didn't depend on rulers or rebels. It depended on ordinary beings choosing to see the best in each other. That's why his story matters. That's why it's being revealed now. Because humanity is at a crossroads. We are discovering truths that will change everything. And we need to remember that revelation doesn't have to mean destruction. It can mean evolution. It can mean hope. Let's recap the 3 biggest takeaways from Marcus's incredible journey. First, true power comes from love, not control. The royal family shaped civilizations for thousands of years not through force, but through guidance rooted in care for both species. Second, being overlooked isn't weakness. Marcus's invisibility as a servant became his greatest strength. Sometimes the people who change the world are the ones nobody's watching. Third, unity doesn't erase difference. Humans and aliens brought out the best in each other. Their strength wasn't in becoming the same. It was in celebrating what made them unique while working toward shared goals. This story changes how we see power, leadership, and possibility. If you felt that shift, hit that subscribe button. Join our community of people questioning everything they've been taught about history and human potential. Like this video if it made you think differently about what's really happening in the world. Comment below, what hidden truth do you think humanity is ready to discover? And most importantly, watch our next video about the evidence of extraterrestrial influence on human civilization. It's right here. Join our weekly newsletter for exclusive stories and insights that mainstream media won't touch. Link in the description. Thanks for watching. Keep questioning. Keep learning. See you next time.